Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into, some pretty potentially huge news for the LA real estate scene. The Citywide Housing Incentive Program, or CHIP as it's being called.
Yeah, that's right. It's an ordinance that's making its way through City Hall, and it's aimed, squarely at tackling LA's housing shortage. We've got a fact sheet here straight from LA City Planning, and let me tell you, it's a dense one. But don't worry, we've sifted through it all, so you don't have to.
Okay, so paint the picture for us. What's the housing situation like right now in LA, and how does CHIP fit into all that?
Well, as you know, LA is grappling with a pretty severe lack of affordable housing. I mean, rents are sky high. Finding a place to live that doesn't totally break the bank is a real struggle for a lot of Angelinos. And the city is legally obligated to address this, and CHIP is a big part of their plan.
Interesting. So how does CHP actually work? Is it about rezoning neighborhoods?
Actually, no, it's not about changing zoning laws. Instead, CHIP focuses on incentivizing developers to build more housing, specifically mixed income and 100% affordable units. The idea is to make it more attractive for developers to include these types of units in their projects.
So what kind of incentives are we talking about here?
Well, CHIP takes a kind of a three-pronged approach. First, it aligns the city with the updated state density bonus program. And this program offers incentives, things like density bonuses and relaxed parking requirements, if developers agree to include affordable units in their projects.
So it's like a trade-off.
Yeah.
Developers get to build more units than zoning would typically allow, and in return, they make a portion of those units affordable.
Exactly. It's about working within the existing framework, but sweetening the deal to encourage the development of housing that LA desperately needs. Then there's the Mixed Income Incentive Program, or MIP. This program specifically targets development along transit corridors and in what the state calls higher opportunity areas.
Higher opportunity areas. What does that mean exactly?
It's a term the state uses to identify areas with good access to jobs, quality education, and other resources that contribute to a higher quality of life. The thinking behind MIP is that by incentivizing mixed income housing in these areas, you can create more diverse and inclusive communities. It's not just about concentrating affordable housing in one part of the city.
Got it. So that's two prongs of the approach. What's the third?
The third prong is the Affordable Housing Incentive Program, or AHIP. This one is all about incentivizing projects that are 100% dedicated to affordable housing. And here's where it gets really interesting. AHIP even opens up P zones, which are areas currently designated for parking for the development of affordable housing.
Wow. Opening up parking zones for housing. That seems like a, a pretty significant shift in the city's thinking. But I'm guessing there are some caveats to all of this, right?
You're absolutely right. It's important to remember that this ordinance hasn't been finalized yet. It's still making its way through City Council, and the final provisions could change.
So while this is all very exciting, we need to stay tuned for the final version.
Exactly. Think of this deep dive as a sneak peek, a heads up on what might be coming down the pipeline.
And that's why it's so important for anyone involved in LA real estate, agents, developers, landowners, investors, to keep an eye on this. It could, significantly impact your strategies and decisions.
Absolutely. And once the ordinance is approved, Brickwork will be releasing a full report with all the final details and analysis. You can count on us to keep you informed every step of the way.
Okay, so we've got the big picture. Now let's zoom in on some of the finer points of CHIP. What are some of the key details we need to know?
Well, as we mentioned, location is key, particularly for the MIP incentives. These are concentrated in areas near transit and in those higher opportunity areas, but there's more to it than just proximity to transit. These areas are also evaluated based on factors like poverty rates, educational attainment, and access to healthcare. The state has a specific methodology for determining what qualifies as a higher opportunity area.
So it's a pretty nuanced designation. It's not just about being close to a subway station.
Precisely. And understanding these nuances is going to be crucial for developers looking to take advantage of the MIP incentives. But let's not forget about AHP. While MIP is geographically focused, AHP opens up more possibilities across the city. For example, faith-based organizations can use AHIP to develop affordable housing on their land. And the program also applies to public land projects.
So AHEP casts a wider net in terms of potential projects. That's helpful to know.
It is, and there's another key aspect of CHIP that's worth highlighting. The ordinance emphasizes streamlined approvals. The goal is to to cut through red tape and make project approvals faster, which could be a huge advantage for developers facing lengthy bureaucratic processes.
That makes sense. Time is money, after all, especially in the development world. But it's not just about making things easier for developers, right? CHIP also includes protections for renters, doesn't it?
That's right. The ordinance includes provisions for relocation assistance for tenants who might be displaced by new developments. It also ensures that those tenants have the right to return to the new developments once they're completed.
So it's about trying to balance the need for more housing with protecting the rights of existing residents.
Exactly. It's about making sure that everyone benefits from these new housing opportunities. It really is a balancing act. And of course, any new program like this is going to have its critics.
That's true. So what are some of the concerns people have raised about CHIP?
Well, one of the main criticisms is that the incentives might not be strong enough to really, move the needle on affordable housing development. Some developers might crunch the numbers and decide it's still more profitable to build market rate housing, even with the bonuses offered by CHIP.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I mean, it's all about the bottom line, right?
Exactly. And then there are concerns about the potential impact on existing neighborhoods. Some residents worry about, increased density and traffic congestion, especially in areas targeted by the MIIP.
Yeah, those are real concerns that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's not just about building more housing. It's about building it in a way that's sustainable and benefits the entire community.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so crucial to have open and honest conversations about these issues. The success of CHIP will hinge on finding that sweet spot between incentivizing development and addressing the needs and concerns of communities.
Okay, so we've talked about the three prongs of CHIP: the state density bonus alignment, MIIP, and AHIP. And we've touched on some of the potential benefits and challenges. But I think it would be helpful to really dig into how these incentives might work in practice. Can you give us a real-world example?
Sure. Let's say you're a developer looking to build a new apartment complex near a metro station in a higher opportunity area. Under the MIP program, you could qualify for a density bonus, meaning you could build more units than the zoning code would typically allow. That could translate into a significant increase in your potential revenue.
So it's a pretty enticing incentive for developers.
Yeah.
But what's the catch?
Well, in exchange for that density bonus, you'd have to commit to including a certain percentage of affordable units in your project. The exact percentage would depend on a variety of factors, including the location and the type of project.
So it's a give and take. Developers get the flexibility to build more, but they also have to contribute to the city's affordable housing stock.
Precisely. And that's the heart of the CHIP program. It's about creating a win-win situation where developers can still make a profit while also helping to address a critical need in the city.
Okay, that makes sense. What about AHIP? How might that play out in a real-world scenario?
Well, remember how we talked about AHIP opening up P zones for affordable housing development? Imagine a surface parking lot in a neighborhood that's struggling with affordability. A nonprofit developer could come in using AHIP and transform that parking lot into affordable apartments.
Yeah, that would be quite a transformation.
Yeah.
And because these projects are 100% affordable, the incentives might be even more generous, right?
Yes, that's often the case. AHIP can offer a combination of density bonuses, fee waivers, and expedited approvals, making it more financially feasible to develop these types of projects.
So AHIP could be a game changer for nonprofit developers and organizations working to create more affordable housing options.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that CHIP is designed to be, flexible and adaptable to different types of projects. It recognizes that there's no one-size-fits-all solution to the housing crisis.
Right. We've talked about faith-based organizations and public land projects as well. It seems like the city is really trying to cast a wide net and encourage affordable housing development from multiple angles. But let's not forget, this ordinance is still in flux.
You're absolutely right. The final version could look different from what we're seeing now.
And that's why we're here, right? To break it all down for our listeners and keep them informed as things evolve.
Exactly. We at Brickwork are committed to providing you with the latest information and analysis on CHIP and other land use policies affecting the LA real estate market. We'll be keeping a close eye on this ordinance, and we'll release a comprehensive report once it's finalized.
So stay tuned for that. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I think it's worth pausing for a moment and really thinking about what all of this means for our listeners. The real estate agents, developers, landowners, and investors who are navigating the LA market.
That's a great point. This ordinance has the potential to significantly reshape the development landscape in LA. It's not just about affordable housing, it's about understanding the incentives, the potential opportunities, and the challenges that come with it.
Exactly. So as you're listening to this, we encourage you to think about how CHIP might impact your own work and strategies. Are there opportunities you can leverage? Challenges you need to prepare for?
Yeah, it's a lot to process, that's for sure. And I think one of the key takeaways here is that knowledge is power. The more you understand about CHIP and how it works, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions.
Absolutely. And that's where Brickwork comes in. We're here to provide you with the insights and resources you need to navigate these complex policy changes. Exactly. So once this ordinance is approved and codified, what can our listeners expect from Brickwork?
Well, we'll be releasing a comprehensive report that that breaks down all the key provisions of CHIP. We'll analyze the potential impacts on the LA real estate market, and we'll provide guidance on how how real estate professionals can best leverage the opportunities presented by the program.
So it'll be a deep dive within a deep dive.
You could say that we'll be covering everything from the eligibility criteria for different incentives to the potential challenges and pitfalls to watch out for.
That sounds incredibly helpful. It's like having a roadmap for navigating this new terrain.
We want to make sure our listeners feel confident and prepared to make the most of this new policy landscape.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the ins and outs of CHIP, the potential benefits and challenges, and even walked through some real-world scenarios.
And we've emphasized the importance of staying informed and engaged throughout this process. The LA housing landscape is evolving rapidly, and having access to reliable information and analysis is crucial.
So what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
I think the main takeaway is that CHIP has the potential to significantly impact the LA real estate market. It's a bold initiative aimed at addressing a critical need. And while there are uncertainties and potential challenges, there are also significant opportunities for those who are prepared.
Well said. And as always, Brickwork is here to help you navigate those opportunities.
That's right. We'll keep you updated on all the latest developments related to CHIP and other land use policies affecting the LA real estate market.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed by all this information, don't worry, you're not alone, and that's why we're here. Brickwork is your go-to resource for all things LA real estate, including CHIP and other important land use policies.
Whether you're a seasoned developer or a first-time homebuyer, we can provide you with the insights and guidance you need to make informed decisions.
So to wrap things up, keep an eye out for our full report on CHIP, once the ordinance is finalized. And in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.
Contact Brickwork at contact@brickwork.la for reports on this and other land use topics, including ADUs, SB 9, SB 684, ED1 affordable housing, and more. We're here to support you every step of the way.